Hello, everyone. In this video, we're going to talk about new growth theory. So modern economic theory and what we use now, this focuses on that new growth theory, and it focuses on particular reasons that some nations experience technological advancement while others do not. Now, with this, economists started to believe that growth was spurred by reasons that were very particular to certain economies. New growth theory specifically is an approach that focuses on that technological change that we talked about before, as well as those incentives that were fostering innovation inside a particular economy. Now, technological change is now considered to be endogenous, meaning that there are factors inside an economy that can cause that growth to happen. And we are still using some of the same function aspects. So we have A times F, the function F of K, H, K, L in institutions. So K is still going to be capital, physical capital. HK is still going to be human capital. And then L is going to be those natural resources. A is still technology. We're just adding in institutions. And that's because this modern growth theory is going to augment that traditional solo model and solo 2. That aggregate production function is still our foundation of all growth theory, but now we're going to also include those institutions that provide the incentives to cause that endogenous or inside growth in the economy. So what are institutions? Well, because technological change is endogenous in this new model, nations have to create an environment that encourages technological change. The right institutions are going to cause our economy to grow. So these are things that are transparent and consistent within the government, things like private property rights and stable money and prices. Now, negative institutions are going to be things like corruption and political instability. So proper institutions will create the incentive for growth. Institutions don't have to be formal things like the government. They can also be informal or kind of just like basic community held ideals. And these are really going to dictate the production environment. This will also help determine our costs and benefits of production. Different institutions are going to have different incentives for individuals, and these individuals will change their behavior based on those incentives. And this will either promote or hinder growth. So broadly defined, again, we have positive or negative and good or bad institutions. And these are discussed in the previous chapter at great length, but basically think of it this way, is that if you don't have that incentive of private property or the ability to earn money, you don't really have a lot of incentive to try to develop new technology and to try to help overall productivity, because you are in fact worried that these things could be taken from you at any moment. So some institutions that do foster growth, political stability and the rule of law, private property, competitive markets, international trade, funds that are able to flow across borders, efficient taxes, and stable money and prices. These are all things that are very important to foster growth. And these are going to be the institutions that really do help a country to grow their GDP overall. Now, voluntary investment and production will happen naturally if the expected payoff is greater than or equal to cost. This means that people are going to be a lot more likely to spend resources and put in the work that's required to come up with these technological advancements and other kind of productivity increasers if they know that there is going to be some payoff. There is sometimes going to be a time lag before payoff, and they have to also believe that that payoff is going to happen at a time that it still makes sense to go ahead and put in that work to develop that new technology. Now on the slide, they have kind of like a sprouted seed, and that's a representation of a time lag. Often a lot of payoff from today's investment won't happen until long in the future, just like when you plant something and you have to wait for it to grow. And we have to make sure that people have some kind of incentive to help them be patient for long enough to see the rewards of their overall investment. Now here, with including institutions into our production function, we're going to look at how that affects the overall productivity overall. So we have our original function here, again, including those institutions, and all growth does start with institutions. Now, if we have private property and other institutions implemented that are positive institutions, we're going to be able to achieve F2, which is going to be a much higher and more productive GDP overall, because we do have those growth fostering institutions that are in place that make us want to invest more into technology and developing new things. This is one reason that we have seen a pretty rapid growth in China recently, even though they're not receiving aid, and that's because they have a lot more private property rights since they kind of have put more laws into place, and that's caused a lot more production. So that's going to be where we go ahead and end this video and in chapter 12. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. Otherwise, I'll talk with you in the next one. Thank you.